We all want to be happier, but how do we get there? First, we start by realizing happiness is not a destination. Being happy consists of micro action steps every single day. I'm your host, Brittny King, and I'm here to guide you along the way. Hello, my beautiful friend, and welcome back to the Positively Real podcast. I'm your host and your coach, Brittny King, in the house. And wow, I don't think I've ever been more proud to be your coach in my life. I've already been obsessed with coaching for the past 5 years because it's changed my life. But when I woke up this morning, I just could not wait to meet with my clients because I know how impactful this work is. And I always feel that way. But after this past weekend, not even weekend, this past week, I keep saying weekend, it has reignited. I feel like it's just like lit a different fire underneath my ass, because before it was good, but now it's great. So the first time that I went on a date with Brian, my very first date with B King, I woke up the next day thinking, wow, my life is never going to be the same. And I had the same thought come to me this morning. After this past week, something changed in my brain, which felt different in my body. And it truly is the power of coaching. Now, if you're like, whoa, what are we talking about here, B? You just went on, you just started chatting. Let me back up a little bit. So I got back last week from Stacey Bayman's 200K Mastermind. And it was a week full of high level thinking, high level coaching, where I got to work on my business 3 days straight with no distractions. And it was magical. Now, let me backtrack a little bit further. So I started my business in 2017, and I can't even say it was a business. It was a jobby. It wasn't even a jobby. It was a hobby. I was working full time and I hit a limit of how much money I could make. The owner of the company told me I couldn't make any more. I had to work harder to make more. And I was just like, I'm already working real hard, busting my ass, and you're telling me what my value is here. So it planted a seed and it led me down the path of health coaching. And health coaching was very much just a hobby until I got some skin in the game. I got real about my goals and I hired my first coach. And at that time, I was paying $7,500 for 90 days of business coaching. So in over my head. I talk about this a lot when I had the donut cry, when I was like, what am I doing? But that literally catapulted me into this world of not just having a hobby, but actually creating a business in transformation. Now, if it wasn't for that, I don't think I would have invested in myself the way that I've been investing in myself. Like, I had to incrementally increase my capacity for investing in my business and in my brain, which allowed me to get to this place where I now invest without even double thinking, double guessing or second guessing. That's what I'm going for. Second guessing myself, because I know that it's not the program, it's not the coach, it is me that is responsible for the results. So bring us fast forward to August of 2022. I hired a business coach in June, and I was trying so hard to get what I came for, and it was not working because the business coaching was actually a scam, and she was just feeding us lies the whole entire time. Now, I do take responsibility because looking back, what I would have done differently was ask different questions, and I would have heard the warning signs that this wasn't exactly what I was looking for. But anyway, that experience led me to work with Stacey and join the 200K Mastermind. If I didn't have this contrast of working with someone that was having me spin in circles, was having me redo things that at the end said that there was no strategy she was teaching me, and was just lying the whole entire time. If I didn't have that experience with this business coach, I wouldn't have made the decision to go all in with the 200K mastermind, because like, I'm not playing around. So I found out about the mastermind in August. I watched the live event in the free Facebook group, and I remember thinking so clearly, I was getting ready in my bathroom and I was like, I'm going to be in that room one day. And then who knew that the day would come so fast? You got to be careful what you serve up in the universe, because it delivers when it's in alignment. So I knew the price of the investment, which was 25K. So that didn't freak me out. And I also knew that I was going to have to apply. So there was a chance that I might not have gotten in. So fast forward to December, the opportunity came up and I was like, there's no better time than right now. I could have pushed it off, but I knew if I was going to go all in my business and my brain, that now was the time. I could have come up with all the reasons not to do it, but I didn't. I listened to my intuition. I knew that this was the next step. So I applied, I paid, I figured out how to get here, and then I went. So the live event is the kickoff to the mastermind. The mastermind is actually 6 months long, which is so fun because you get to come with me on this journey. So if you're paying attention, I'm going to be doing a lot of teaching from my experience. You know, a lot of times you hear like when you get to the end result, but I like to pull back the curtains and kind of share my experience, the challenges that I'm coming up against, the thought process that helps me overcome them, and hopefully that you can apply that to your life, whether that's in your business or just towards your goals. So I went to the live event, and the live event kicks off the mastermind. So you don't necessarily even have to go to the live event because you have 6 months of coaching in your business. But the live event definitely was a game changer. I was astonished by the brilliance in this space. I knew it was going to be high level, but wow, the golden nuggets that were coming from all of these coaches, these business owners, these badass women, I was taken aback. Like, I knew it was going to be incredible, but I didn't know it was going to be that high level. So we would have live training in the morning, and then in the afternoon, we would do breakout sessions. And I was like, are every breakout group like this? Because the level of thinking and problem solving and thoughts that were coming from these individuals was so powerful, and you could feel the power because they would give you thoughts, and then you would think these thoughts and you would feel it in your body, and it was so incredible. It was so incredible. And so it really just brought me back to how powerful coaching is and how important coaching is. Because when we get anchored in our present moment and we start creating a future that doesn't exist, it feels like magic. But what's actually happening is alignment with your truest self, alignment with your desires. Now, coaching absolutely transformed my life. And then I think back to all the clients that I've worked with and how it's transformed their life. And I'm just like, why doesn't everybody have a coach? Like, it is insane. And I really felt that way after I left this weekend or this week. I need to stop saying weekend, because every person in this room was a coach, and every person has a coach, and every person is coaching clients. And it's just creating this positive ripple, and just the different niches and target markets that people are working with. It's like we can create such a positive change in this world if we can help people see the power of their mind. Like, I'm watching these women and I'm hearing about their business and where they're at and their revenue. And I'm like, this all came from the power of their mind. It wasn't just handed to them. They created it with their mind. And then I'm like, wait, I can't discredit myself here. No one handed me my business. This wasn't like a, hey, follow this. Like, I hired a coach, but I had to figure out everything from the ground up. I had zero clue what I was doing, zero clue. And I had the audacity to go after what I wanted. And I know that makes a lot of people uncomfortable, but I went after what I wanted, and I've created, as a result, the most magnificent life. And I feel like I am just getting started. Literally, I am just getting started. You know, the first time I ever learned that our thoughts create how you feel and feelings drive action and actions create results, my mind was blown. Like my mind was blown because then I stopped and looked at everything in my life. And yes, the positive and the negative. And I realized like I created this reality. Even the things that I don't love, I'm like, ooh, I did that. Even the experiences that I had, like even the business coach that I hired in June, like I created that result. I created that result because of my thinking, because I wasn't in a clean space, because I was making very irrational decisions from an emotional place without actually thinking very clearly about where I was going in the direction that I was heading. So I remember, when I first learned thoughts create how we feel, right? Thoughts create our reality. I was like, does everyone know this? Why isn't everyone talking about this? And then take me to this event, 4 days of literally talking about this. It was so much fun. I don't ever get to have these conversations that often and for a consecutive period of time. So I left that week just feeling so lit up by the deep conversations that I was having. It was just electric. When you get a bunch of coaches in a room talking about business mindset and strategy, it is electric. That is like, I really understood the power of master mining. And I see it came mining instead of minding because, like, what we're doing is we're mining for gold nuggets of people's thoughts. Because once you find the thought that really connects to your body, the result is inevitable. The result is inevitable. And I really believe so deep in my core that hiring a coach, and this is from my experience, is the kindest and most generous thing that you can do for your past self, your present self, and your future self. And I'll tell you what I mean by that, because our relationship with ourself is based off the quality of our thoughts. So if you're like cool with your present self, but you haven't made peace with your past self, you're not going to get to where you want to go. The things that you want, the dreams that you have, the desires that you have, you're just going to be blocked because you're going to keep defaulting to your past self. So if you can make peace and love your past self and bring that into your present self, it's going to create a different future. But when you continue to look to your past self and you keep beating yourself up over past mistakes and failures and things that you did wrong or things you should have done differently, you cannot move forward when you're looking in the rearview mirror. And I just kept seeing that unfold all weekend long. All weekend. I'm just going to keep saying weekend. It wasn't over the weekend, but we're just going to go there. The coaching, we got amazing coaching and guidance from Stacy, but in our breakout rooms, the coaching was so direct and so generous and so powerful. The ideas that were shared, right? Like they were brilliant and also so generous. Like the word is so generous. You would think if you get a bunch of coaches that have, similar target markets and are working with similar demographics that people would be competitive, right? I've never felt more abundant in my life, realizing that there's an abundance of people in this world to help and it's not a competitive nature. If something is working for someone, we want to share it so we can help elevate them so they can elevate the people that they're working with. And that feels so good in my body. It feels so good to be in that space of abundance, that there is enough resources to go around. You don't have to withhold any information. You don't have to hide anything because you're worried that someone else is going to get somewhere further. Like there's no rush. There's absolutely no rush. And it feels so good to give and receive, right? So that was one of my favorite parts, is like the abundance mindset. Like everybody was in such an abundant place all weekend long. And anytime you dropped into scarcity or lack, you had 100 other coaches that are going to pull you out of it. Like there is no bullshit. There is no low level thinking that is allowed, or we at least like allow it to be there for a moment and then we pull each other out of it. We really question so many thoughts that like come into our mind. So, the ideas were so generous. They're so abundant, so brilliant. The conversations, the connections, I really understood why we mastermind. Like, this is why we mastermind. So now I get to work for the next 6 months and then some, like starting with 6 months, but I'm committed to the next 3 years. I get to work alongside some of the most brilliant minds in the industry, and I get to get coached at a high level. So this space is raising my self-concept of who I am as a business owner and as a coach, as a mom, as a wife, as a friend. No, it is going to stretch me and force me to grow in ways that are going to feel super uncomfortable, but it's going to be so worth it. And I don't have to do it while hustling. I spent all last year not hustling, and it created amazing results when I was working at half capacity. So just imagine what can be created when you're not hustling and you're working in full capacity. I mean, come on. Come on. I mean, we only have one life to live, right? So in my mind, I'm like, I might as well go for it, because what's the worst thing that happens? I fall flat on my face and I fail. Bring it on. Bring it on. One of the thoughts that one of the high earners shared was like, I love to fail, or I can't wait to fail. Or she said something and I was like, yes, I am so on board with that, because I know failing is the way to my success. And that can be true for you too. A lot of the reason why I evolved from health coaching into just life coaching was because it breaks my heart when I see potential in human beings, and especially my high achieving women, my gals, ones I love so much, and they're only using a pinky's worth of their potential, right? And it breaks my heart when they aren't actually living, right? They're just going through the motions and they're checking the boxes, and they think that they should be happy or they should be more grateful because they have a good life, and they're constantly just going, going, going. And my job, my purpose is to help people slow down so they can enjoy the life they have worked so hard for, and they can appreciate true pleasure in life, not the false pleasures like checking Instagram or Netflixing, right? Nothing's wrong with those things. But when they take you away from being present, right? When it's a distraction, right? It's not real pleasure. It's a quick dopamine hit. And I find that what I'm here to do is to help people uncover what they truly deeply want and go after it, execute, make it happen, not while hustling, adding more things on their plate, but when in fact, by doing less, really. I believe for you that you can achieve so much more by doing less. Truly, I do, because I've done it for myself, and it's mind blowing in the best possible way. So, I've really come to this place of understanding that what I do as a coach is so important. It's so important. And I want to help you really tap into what success means to you. I want to help you slow down so you can truly enjoy the one life you've got, right? Like, what's the point of working so hard if you can't enjoy it? So, when I'm thinking about what I want to share with you, there's just so many golden, juicy nuggets. But one of the things that I found so powerful, and I actually had this aha when I got coached by Stacy towards the end of the week. But one of my biggest takeaways was what to do when things don't go planned. I mean, that was really the theme. Like, she really led with teaching, like, what to do when things don't go planned. And it was just so powerful because she was sharing through her experience. So she really taught us how to rebound faster after a setback. And it's what Stacy calls like a low value cycle. And essentially, a low value cycle is when you experience a setback or an obstacle or a life circumstance, right, that drops your energy, your productivity, and ultimately it just creates unproductive work. And as she's explaining this, I'm like, oh my God, I have been in a low value cycle for almost a year. And it's not a problem because I have created incredible results in a low value cycle. And that's wild. It's wild that I can produce at the level that I'm producing while in a low value cycle. I mean, come on. That is so crazy. So I learned that by being in this low value cycle, I actually have developed a skill set. And even though I spent a lot of time distracting and in unproductive work, I actually know next time I'm in a low value cycle, like, for me, it was postpartum and all of the loveliness that comes with postpartum and trying to run a business and being a new mom and trying to figure out my identity and my self-concept and all of that. So being there, I get to sit down and look at how I got through it and evaluate what worked and what didn't work and what I'm going to apply and implement moving forward next time I have a setback. So this actually becomes the comeback plan when you're in a low value cycle. So a low value cycle, if you choose to learn from it, creates a skill set that helps you get through the next obstacle and challenge, because that's what it's all about. It's not an upward, it's not a linear path upward. It is an obstacle. It is up and down. It's a roller coaster. Okay. So that's a low value cycle. And that's where I was at in 2022. Now, a high value cycle is when you get results. And I'm talking like intentional results, where the work that you are producing is aligned with the results that you want. Now, I think one of my favorite things about this past week was really accepting that it wasn't a problem and that it was an actual like necessary part for me to go through and process to get me to a high value cycle, which is kind of where I'm trending right now. So let's talk about like if you are in a low value cycle, because I really want to apply this whether you have a business or not. I really want to apply this to like where you're currently at in your life. Now, the thing about a low value cycle is in order to get out of it, you have to sit in it and make peace with where you're currently at. So you really need to accept and meet yourself where you are. Okay. There's no other thing other than feeling your feels and processing them that is going to help you get out of a low value cycle quicker. Anything you do is going to slow down the process. So if you try, and I did this, I tried to find a shortcut. I tried to find the answer outside of me. I was terrified that my business was going to fail, that it was all going to go away. And so I made a decision from a low value cycle. And it ultimately was a backfire. And you know what it did? It slowed down the process, but I needed it to slow down the process because I learned so much. So if there's anything that you take from this, if you are in a low value cycle, and the way that you know is if you are producing unproductive work, if you are distracting yourself, if you are arguing against reality, slow down and process how you feel. The other thing is, please, if you are in a low value cycle, do not indulge in it. Do not throw yourself a pity party. I mean, you can. Here, let me rephrase that. Stacey called it a 5-minute funeral. Give yourself a 5-minute funeral. Throw yourself a 5-minute pity party. Get it all out and then move on. Do not indulge in it. Don't spend too much time, because if you spend too much time there, you are going to indulge in it because it feels productive and it feels good to feel sorry for yourself. And I'm telling you, it's not. Also, when you're in a low value cycle, just being okay with how it feels in your body. Like if you are feeling this lower energy, if you are feeling like you just are overwhelmed or confused, or you can't move forward, or you're feeling self-doubt, or you're feeling stuck, or you're feeling confused, it's okay. It's okay. Okay. And then the last part of when you are in a low value cycle and you want to get out of it, right? You tell yourself, I'm going to work. I am going to get to work. No matter if I fail, I will work hard to come back stronger. And if you do this, you will feel like a different person. And that's where I'm at. That is where I'm at right now. It's like I was in a low value cycle. And what Stacy said that really struck me was, what if it's true that a low value cycle is the beginning of a high value cycle? And that really struck with me because they're not these separate things, right? Your low value cycle is a gateway into your high value cycle. And when you are shifting from low value, and with what I mean by value is the work that you are producing, whether it's in your personal life or your professional life. So the value that you're providing in your job, in your business, right? The results that you are getting for yourself. For me, the results that you're getting. For me, it's for the results I'm getting my clients, but then also on a personal level. When you're in a low value cycle on a personal level, it's really hard to show up for the people in your life. It's really hard to show up for yourself. So when I say value, it's really connected to the results that you are creating. And when I say results, it's intentional results, results that are aligned with what you want for your future. So Stacy asked this question, like, what if it's true that a low value cycle is the beginning of a high value cycle? And I was like, yes, love this so much, because when you believe that the low value cycle is the beginning of a high value cycle, you learn that the obstacle that you are currently experiencing actually becomes the way. When you learn how to overcome it, when you have a strategy and you test it and you see if it works or it doesn't work, over time, it builds the skill set to overcome any obstacle that's similar in that way. So you want to hypothesize, okay, why am I here? How do I get out of it? And then you want to take action. It might move you out of the Levi cycle or it might not, but you want to try again. You want to make attempts and you want to repeat and tweak anything until you get out of that low value cycle. So what's so powerful about this develops the wisdom and skill to keep going. Okay. This, my friend, is so powerful. So if you are in a low value cycle right now, you have the power to get out of it. But first, you have to recognize and acknowledge that you're there. That's it. First, you want to have awareness that it's there and be okay. Have the okayness, the acceptance of the current circumstance that you're at. Because as soon as you do that, you're going to stop going down in your cycle and you can start building yourself up to go to a high value cycle. Okay. So if you're there right now, I want you to reflect on what a low value cycle and a high value cycle looks for you. So how can you tell if you're in a low value cycle? For me, this is how I knew. As we were going through this, I was like, oh my gosh, this is totally me. Because when you're in a low value cycle, it can be unproductive, but it also can be productive because it is the start of a high value cycle. So how can you tell if you're in a low value cycle? So number one thing is you're so focused on what's not working. And when you go to what's not working, your brain spins out on a ton of drama and it starts fixating on all the negative things. And it's really hard to see where you're growing or where you've made any progress. The other thing that you might notice if you're in an unproductive low value cycle is you miss any progress that you're making, right? You're just like, this is all terrible. Everything's gone wrong. I had a couple experiences like this when something didn't go the way that I thought it would. And I literally just went into this downward spiral of how I'm not doing anything right. I'm a terrible mom. I'm a terrible business owner. I'm a terrible, like it was like, whew, I gave myself the time to get it all out. And then I said, Golding, let's get this shit together. But that's a very unproductive low value cycle. Other things when you're in a unproductive low value cycle is distracting with phone, TV, scrolling, freezing or distracting yourself, like feeling paralyzed, thinking you have to do everything at once. That is also the sign of an unproductive low value cycle. Feeling lack, thinking that there's not enough time, not enough resources, right? Feeling that like scarcity, also a sign of a low value cycle. Taking overaction, like just trying to take action to distract yourself from feeling the negative emotion. And then under actioning, right? Like giving less energy and commitment to the things that you once loved, doing less, and then also expecting less. So that's an unproductive low value cycle. But then on the flip side of that, there can be a productive low value cycle, because this is like that next ladder up to a high value cycle. So being okay with the surge of negative emotions, like that's a part of it, because feeling is healing. You have to feel your way through it. Being okay with what's happening. You have to be okay, accept the circumstance, allow feelings, and let them process through. Literally, if you let them process through without interrupting them, they will move through you. Not saying they will definitely come back, but you're just going to learn the skill of feeling, processing, moving it through. And this builds emotional resilience. The other thing is taking ownership. Ooh, take responsibility. You can't blame anything or anyone for how you're feeling and how you're showing up. I'm going to say it again. Taking ownership. You have to figure out how you've created the result that you don't love for yourself. You have to figure out what is your part in order to get better. And that feels terrible. It does not feel good. But asking yourself, what can I take responsibility for? So you can see how you created it, gives you the authority, the power to change it. Now, if you have a hard time with this, get coached. Get coached. Coaching is the best thing you can do if you are currently in a low value cycle. You want to move up to a high value cycle, you have to seek out help. Asking yourself powerful questions is amazing, but we can't see what we can't see. So being in a space with a coach that holds a non-judgmental space to call out some of the thoughts and also lovingly hold up the mirror and help you take responsibility in a safe container can make the biggest difference. So when you are getting coached, right? If you're getting help when you're in a low value cycle, one of my ways to get out of it is asking like what my higher self would do. Like I think about my future self and how she solves the problem. And then she gives me and downloads all that beautiful, juicy wisdom. But I can't get there without coaching. I can't get there without someone seeing what's on my brain, and not just someone, like also I have the agency to coach myself, to being able to sit down and look at my thoughts. So if you don't have a coach, you have the ability to coach yourself by writing out your thoughts, seeing what's on your mind, seeing what that's creating, and how that is ultimately creating a low value cycle. And then all of this is to say, you want to evaluate where you're currently at, and that's going to move you up the ladder. It's going to move you up from an unproductive low value cycle to a productive low value cycle, all the way up to a high value cycle. So the other thing that really stood out, because when I'm thinking like, how did I create a 6-figure business, become a new mom, take time off? Like I asked myself, I'm like, how did I do that? Right? Like I evaluated and I wrote down all the things that worked, all the things that didn't work, what I'm going to do differently this year. And one of the things that Stacey said that stood out to me was your low value cycle might be someone else's high value cycle. So you can actually produce amazing results while you're in a low value cycle, which I am proof of that. But what's so amazing and eye-opening about that is if you're where I'm currently at is kind of my capacity. And in order to get to the next level, I'm going to have to expand my capacity and be working in a high value cycle the majority of the time. Now, you're going to take dips. We're going to go up and down, high value, low value, and it's a dance, right? It's not just all up and it's not just all down, right? So it's understanding, it's just being aware. It's like, okay, when am I in a low value cycle and what is my way to get out of it? And each time you're developing the skill set to move you up. So when you take a dip, you bring it back up. So I think like really taking this all in and processing it all has opened up a channel of energy from my brain to my body that just has made things so clear. And that's why I wanted to share it with you, because I've talked to a lot of clients and just people, and they just all kind of started the year in that low value cycle, just feeling kind of blah, um, wanting to distract themselves, also blaming certain circumstances. And this is so helpful for me to realize that nothing has gone wrong, that I am responsible for the place that I'm at, and that also means I'm responsible for the place that I'm going. And I just want that for you as well. I want that for you as well. So that high value, low value cycles, definitely my biggest takeaway. Um, the other thing that I want to leave you with is the power of investing in yourself. And I kind of talked about this at the beginning of the episode, but man, when you make a decision and you put skin in the game, it unlocks this undeniable energy. And that energy did not come from Stacy, didn't come from the event. It came from my freaking thoughts. Going into this, I've learned. First, I used to hire people and be like, do it for me, make this work. And it never worked. It never worked. I've hired so many business coaches. It never worked because they're telling me their strategies and I'm trying to follow, but it worked for their brain and not my brain. What Stacy is teaching me is how to utilize the power of my brain mixed with strategy, but like mostly mindset to get to where I want to go. And like, it just feels so empowering. And I want that for you. I want that for you. I want to teach you how to use your brain to get you where you want to go. So keep hanging out with me. Keep hanging out with me because I'm going to get you there. Whether or not we work together, whether you just listen to the podcast and we never meet in real life, I am going to teach you how to use your brain, mixed with some strategy, but mostly your brain to create incredible results in your life. I believe that we are all deserving. I believe we're all deserving of our desires. We are given those desires. We're given the ideas that planted in our minds for a reason. And it's our responsibility to go after it, not in the hustly kind of way, not in the hustly kind of way, but it's our responsibility to go out there and do it because it makes a positive impact in the world. Whether it is your own business, or maybe it's a passion project. Maybe you're writing a book. Maybe you have a design business. Maybe you like hosting pop-up books, children's bookstores, whatever it is. You've been given this desire. You've been given this idea for a reason. And it is your responsibility to go figure out how to make it real in this world. Because if we have more people using their energy towards what lights their soul on fire, if we have more people turn their energy on their desires, we would have a much different world. There would be less burnout. There would be less lack. There would be less conversations if I'm not blank enough. So it is very, very, very important. And it has reconnected me with my purpose. The last thing I'll leave you with is on the last day, they do an award ceremony. So anyone that hits the 200K mark or above gets a award, and they walk across the stage and they share the thoughts that they used, or one thought or one sentence that got them this result. And it went anywhere from like 206,000 all the way up to 2 million. And I was bawling, literally bawling. I was so moved and inspired by these women that have created something out of nothing than their thoughts. And it was so touching to hear the thoughts and the stories. But what really got me was the impact. Like, the money is the byproduct of the impact, the life's changed. And that's going to stick with me forever. That is going to stick with me forever. Like, not only the life's change for the clients, but also the coaches because it has absolutely shifted how they show up in their world, in their community, and how they interact with the world. And that positively impacts the people in their world, and that impacts people in their world. And it just continues to create this positive ripple. And I just like could not wrap my head around the impact, the service, the love that was created in this room. And you could just feel it. It was so palpable. Like everybody there, like all doing different things, but all there for the same reason: service, serving, making people's lives better, making people's lives easier, making people feel seen and understood. I mean, come on. That is just magical. And I just can't say enough how grateful I am to my past self for making these decisions along the way. You know, she was confused. She was terrified at times. She had no idea what she was doing. She had no idea what she was trying to accomplish at times, but she just knew that it was something bigger than herself. And she has led me here. So I'm so grateful to my past self. She made a lot of decisions and a lot of things that that I have had the pleasure of forgiving her for, because all of the decisions that she made, the positive and the not so positive, have led me here. And I'm going to continue to foster that as I look forward into the future and create a life even wilder than what I'm currently living. It's just so incredible. Anyway, I could go off on a tangent, which I already kind of have, but I'm just on cloud nine. And okay, really truly the last thing I'll leave you with. I was talking to a client today and she was like, okay, well, like, what do you do? What do you do when, you know, the excitement from the weekend wears off? Like, what do you do? And it was a great question because we were talking about a trip she came off of, and she was like coming down from this bliss. She was also in Cabo before honeymoon, and she was attributing Cabo for her feeling peaceful and calm and connected. And I was like, Cabo is just a place. It's just a place. Your thoughts made you feel that way. So if you want to carry this energy and carry this excitement, then you have to choose to think thoughts every single day on purpose that will create that emotion in your body. You know you have access to it because you currently feel it when you think about this place. And so the same thing goes, like, it's not the mastermind, it's not the event, it's my thoughts about it that is generating this energy. And now it is my responsibility to do it, right? To constantly be in it, to embody this energy every single day. No program, no working with a coach is the magic secret sauce. I'm going to tell you a secret right now. Okay. It's going to blow your mind, but you are the secret sauce. You hold the key. Coaching just helps you unlock it, but you hold the key. So we really want you to think about that. If you are in a low value cycle, I want you to know that you are the key. You have the answer. So it's up to you to think about how you want to show up for yourself, how you want to show up for your life, how you want to show up for the year to create what it is that you want to create. Okay. End rant. I'm just so lit up. I'm so excited to continue to share what I learn. I will be sharing my experience with you as I see fitting on the podcast. But if you have any questions about what I shared, if anything's not clear, ask me in the Facebook group. I am hanging out there a lot more, answering questions about the podcast. If you would like to work with me, I would love to work with you. So sign up for a connection call, because if you want this type of energy, I will help unlock the thoughts in your mind to go after whatever it is that you want without the hustle. We are not hustling in 2023, my friend. No, 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 no. All right. Until next time, remember to love yourself, own your happiness, and let your light shine, because you are so worthy of it, my friend. Until next time.